Our extraterrestrial neighbors, the Moon people. Hey everyone, how are you? SETI Institute seeks evidence of life in the universe outside the Earth. SETI is an acronym for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. I've got an incredible story of a thrilling discovery. Imagine it's August 7th, 2011. It's night, 10:51 p.m. Greg, a staff member at SETI, is just after pouring himself a cup of coffee when he hears an unusual beep on his monitor. It's pulsating at regular intervals. Immediately, he diverts his full attention to it and realizes this might be it, the moment SETI has been dreaming of. Greg rushes to wake Seth, the head honcho at SETI, with an urgent call. Seth, we have a signal. It's strange. Overwhelmed with excitement, Greg barely finishes his sentence before Seth interrupts. Oh no! I'll be there right away. Seth bolts out of bed, almost forgetting his glasses, and drives to the center in record time. He enters the control room and sees Greg's face, filled with intense concentration. He knows instantly. This is big. Seth gazes at the monitor, immediately switches on additional equipment to fine-tune and lock onto the source. Fantastic, I cannot believe this, he mutters, while everyone else in the room is dead silent, eyes glued to the instruments. The signal is steady, and Seth's face is glowing with joy, the happiest anyone has seen him in decades. 15 minutes pass, and just as quickly as it appeared, the signal fades away, leaving everyone in the room in stunned silence. Despite their best efforts, they can't re-establish contact with the signal. If there was a message in the signal, our inability to reply would be a great tragedy, Seth laments. Realizing the enormity of what just happened, Seth stays up all night, planning the next steps and forming an expert team for signal analysis. By 5:15 a.m., he's already on the phone with Max Glenn, his old friend at NASA. Together, they rally top scientists to confirm the signal's authenticity. Over the next few weeks, the team rigorously analyzes the data. They find something mind-blowing. The signal likely originated from the Moon. However, but not from any of the past equipment left on the Moon. NASA and SETI decide to collaborate, launching a satellite to orbit the Moon and pinpoint the signal's source. After a few tense weeks of no results, the satellite finally picks up the signal again. The source? Underground on the east side of the Moon. This discovery rocks the scientific community and the public alike. People speculate everything from underground alien colonies to hidden radio stations. NASA shifts priorities, planning a new mission to investigate further. As the project gains momentum, public support and funding pour in. The world watches eagerly as NASA launches 3 specialized satellites, named High, Buddy and GBU, all designed to interact with the mysterious Moon signal. Despite initial setbacks, the mission presses on. The world waits with bated breath for the next big breakthrough. Could this be our first real contact with extraterrestrial intelligence? Only time will tell. Stay tuned, folks. The universe is full of mysteries, and we've just scratched the surface. We can go into what the 3 satellites are going to do and what NASA is going to find. But before that, there is something surprising to understand. That is to know the real story of the Moon that we didn't know all this time. Let's hear the true story of the Moon before we get into Seth's adventure. The Moon is another world with a human habitat. This is true. The Moon people have been living there for millions of years, though the 6 human moon landings didn't get to know this. The Moon people are just like us, and they live in the underground cave structures just beneath the Moon's surface that are naturally formed at the inception. The underground cave networks, formed during the Moon's molten state, stretch for miles, with the cave heights and widths ranging from a few feet to hundreds of feet. The cave networks around the Moon allow for a complete circumnavigation internally. The caves are hermetically sealed. There are many locations where the cave tops are very close to the Moon's surface. The surface crust in many places is translucent to colorless glass-like material, spanning several square miles. Massive rainbow-like colorful beams often appear in caves from the refraction of sunlight through the translucent surfaces, creating stunningly beautiful effects that Moon people enjoy. The sunlight helps the vegetation grow. Plants that grow in caves are short and stunted, resembling bonsai trees and bushes. Despite the Moon's lack of an outer atmosphere, the caves are filled with 90% oxygen-rich air at exceptionally low pressure. The Moon inhabitants know the harsh conditions of the Moon's surface. Massive lakes are common in the cave system. The underside of the surface roof and the pillars are covered with a gel-like living organism that emits light. These organisms absorb impurities from the air. The fish in the lakes love to eat the waste disposed of by the jellies that fall on the water. The reflection of the glowing gel on the water illuminates the water. The lake water is subject to massive tidal effects due to the gravitational tugs of the Earth. As a result, the water rises and falls by hundreds of feet and spreads over hundreds of miles across the caves on weekly cycles. This causes the formation of water streams and waterfalls throughout the Moon's internal structure. The smooth boulders everywhere prove the nature of erosion caused by the water over millions of years. The Moon's day length of 28 Earth days affects internal temperature differences. The temperature differences cause rapid air movements and turbulent winds speeding through the narrow caves, creating eerie echo sound effects. The Moon supports diverse life forms, like on Earth. The Moon's primary lighting sources are the large, self-glowing crystals called the Babyloniums, which are not found on Earth. The Moon people harvest them from hidden caves and then activate them to glow by exposing them to direct sunlight for 2 days. Once activated, they glow forever. Strategically placed Babyloniums illuminate cave routes and public places. They produce only light without any heat. Now we will learn about the people. They are our lunar cousins, just like us, having same features. For centuries, they have thrived in the harsh environment of the Moon, adapting to its unique challenges and opportunities. They are not technologically advanced like us, but have their own scientific developments in various fields. The most striking difference between us and them is that every 14 Earth days, the Moon people migrate from city to city located around the Moon in a mesmerizing fashion in vast numbers. This cultural habit has persisted for millions of years. Only a small percentage of the population, including elders and young children, lives in the beautiful cities. The Moon people are friendly, fun-loving, and share a common language. Men and women work harmoniously like the bees in a hive. They share all their possessions, symbolizing everybody owns everything and nobody owns anything. The infants are not raised by parents, but by the community centers, instilling values of cooperation and empathy. Men, women, and children mostly wear robes. The fabrics are made from water plant fibers. The low gravity of the Moon gives their walk a characteristic bounce, almost a perpetual skip, adding to their otherworldly charm. The Moon people are vegetarians who primarily consume water plants. They eat the flowers, seeds, leaves, stems, and the bulbs, cooked and raw, which provide all the nutrients. Though a moon day is logically equal to 28 Earth days, the Moon people's biological clock is surprisingly 24 Earth hours. The Moon society is structured on the rhythm of intercity migration. Those who reach a city stay there for 14 Earth days before they move to the next city that takes 14 days of walking. The cave walls along the routes are full of paintings, poems, graffiti, and carvings made by ancient travelers. Each city hosts a spectacular ceremonial welcome and farewell for incoming and outgoing visitors every 14th day. The day-long ceremony offers excellent meeting opportunities for attendees from 7 other cities. The highlight of this ceremony is the sharing of a special mushroom and herb cocktail. They love this drink, and it boosts their spirits to socialize, dance, and have fun. The addiction to the concoction containing the hallucinating agents might be the secret behind their irresistible travel habit. The day after the ceremony, those who due to leave the city depart while those arrive begin the community chores. The children learn academic subjects and community duties. Brilliant children join to do research works. Inventions are scrutinized by the elders to decide on suitability for community. The Moon people do not have a concept of God, but firmly believe they go to heaven upon death. Heaven is believed as a fun place than the Moon with only youth. They do not have the concept of hell. They lack negative emotions, like cruelty, anger, or crimes. Most Moon people have seen the sun, earth, and stars during their intercity travel through the transparent areas of the Moon's surface. They do not know the Moon orbits the Earth. Moon people are aware of the space outside the cave system. They eagerly watch the sun, earth and stars through the moon's transparent crust, cherishing these rare opportunities. The clarity of observing space objects depended on the clearness of Moon's transparent surfaces. The clear areas allows full sunlight penetrate into the caves. Some transparent surfaces were covered in dust, hindering full sunlight. Though Moon people like to clear the dust to enhance benefits from sunlight, they have no way of coming out of the caves. A few years ago, a Moon scientist developed a compound lens that concentrates light from Babylonium crystals to laser-like light beams. They advanced this technology to communicate with cities using light-coded messaging. Recently, a Moon scientists developed an electromagnetic wave generator, commonly called radio wave transmitter. They didn't know what to do with this new discovery, but as accidents lead to discoveries on Earth happened, an accidental discovery occurred when the leading scientist named Duda energized the electromagnetic instruments, causing dust particles to move. When he directed the wave to the Moon's surface, the moon dust disappeared from a small area, allowing more sunlight to come in. Though it was not perfect, they realized the importance of the discovery. They're currently fine-tuning their equipment for better use. Upon discovering a mechanism capable of removing the dust on the moon's surface, elders gave their blessings to their well-respected scientist Duda to proceed with his experiments further. The name of the city where this took place is Da'adi. The demonstration of removing the dust from the moon's surface became a feature at the ceremony of the city Da'adi every 14 days. Each time they energized the instrument, a greater area at the top of the caves got cleared. Some people loved this demonstration, while others did not show much of an interest. Now we will get an update on the 3 satellites NASA launched. Satellite High, which had a radio wave pulsing system and a laser beam to interact with the signal, was stationed in a lunar synchronous orbit directly above the moon's signal spot. Buddy was for reconnaissance, placed in a low orbit. It had loads of high-tech equipment for remote investigations of the signal area, and Seth and Max already had high-definition pictures sent by Buddy. GBU, the go-between unit, was in a visible orbit around the moon to relay data back to Earth. Hard work, enthusiasm and high hopes of Seth, Max, the NASA SETI team and the public were hugely disappointed running down to the 8th day with no trace of the signal. Seth still had hopes. Though it was not in the plan, Seth started sending radio signals from high to the moon's signal spot. Seth's team were one coherent family, living and breathing through the development's successes and failures. In the mix of views and desperation experienced, Niven Morse, the youngest scientist, found those past signal occasions fell into a mathematical linear series of 14. Based on this finding, Niven predicted that there is a likelihood of the signal reappearing on the 14th day after the previous encounter. As all eyes, ears, hearts and the instruments were keenly focused from the very first second of the 14th day. It was a eureka moment after a few hours. "Whoa, whoa, bingo, we got it!" the team yelled loud. The team was monitoring the signal. Seth directed High to fire the dot-dash radio signals. No response so far. The moon signal stopped after 30 minutes. However, luckily, as predicted, High was detecting the signal every 14 days. Now, Seth's main interest was to figure out who or what was sending the signal. Meanwhile, organizations backing UFOs opined that the signals could be from an alien station under the moon's surface. A few weeks have now elapsed. To add to the mystery, there was no breakthrough in decoding the data received or getting any response back. You know why Seth is receiving this signal every 14 days when Duda cleans dust, but unfortunately not Seth. On the next signal occasion, Seth fired the laser from High to the signal spot. Duda was surprised to see a red color beam coming through the transparent cave roof. The moon people gathered there thought it was part of Duda's demonstration. Duda realized that it was coming from a very distant source. He also thought the pulsating beam carried a message. because of dot and dot sequence. He touched the laser beam hesitantly and realized it was harmless like the Babylonian light. The laser beam kept coming uninterrupted. Duda rushed to inform the elders about the beam. Elders rushed to see the red beam. Duda requested permission from the elders to respond to the signal with their blue Babylonian light beam to check what would eventuate. With the elders' permission, he got the Babylonian beam set up. The blue beam penetrated the transparent cave roof. For the first time in Doda and Lola's lives, they saw their beam passing beyond the moon's surface into deep, pitch-dark outer space. Hai detected the blue beam and relayed it to Seth. Within seconds, the control room erupted in excitement. Seth was now certain that there was a source responding to their signal. Seth had a plan to get the moon source's attention in a meaningful way. He stopped the pulses of the laser beam. Dude realized the red beam was not pulsating anymore. Seth then stopped the laser beam. Duda wondered what happened. After a minute, the laser was fired for 1 minute and stopped for a minute. Seth repeated this action a few times. Duda realized it is signaling a message. He asked Lula to stop the blue beam with a cover and emulate the message. Duda did his best to replicate the laser signal pattern by opening and closing the cover of the blue beam. Seth immediately realized he was in touch with the moon source, and this would help to progress on their communication. Over time, Seth's attempt to improve communication only led both parties to understanding that a long dash means hello to start a session and 5 dots meant to say bye-bye to end the session. A big deadlock that Seth, Max, Duda and Lula were currently facing. The SETI NASA team realized that this discovery overshadowed all the discoveries man has ever made. While NASA began releasing its findings in diverse media formats, the public's insatiable curiosity compelled NASA to accelerate probing further. Seth's new plan to probe the signal source further was supported by the team who developed the Mars rovers. The team decided to reuse Hai with updated software to work with the new robotic probe's navigation and operations in addition to the present duties. GBU to be the transponder and Buddy to be decommissioned. The design had the following features. The lander named Master with thrust rockets for rocket-assisted landing and hover it from point to point to carry out planned operations. It had a drill rig. A detachable rover named Collie fitted with a lot of high-tech equipment that can move around independently. After 4.5 days of journeying and half a day in orbit around the moon, the Master and Collie combined unit landed on the planned moon location 100 feet from the signal location where the cave thickness was 40 feet. Seth and the team were thrilled at concluding the landing successfully. As planned, Collie left the belly of Master and approached the signal spot area only during the signal rest periods, but never over the transparent surface. Within a few days, Collie provided high-definition visuals and surface thickness measurements using the ground-penetrating radar of the signal area. With that information, Seth decided on a location 50 feet away from the signal spot to move Master for drilling. Master used the jets to hover it to the drilling spot flawlessly. Collie drove back to Master's belly to give the added weight for stability. Seth emphasized the importance of exercising utmost silence and calmness in doing things to prevent jeopardizing all the progress achieved so far. Immediately upon completion of drilling, Seth sent instructions to Master to insert the investigation probe slowly into the cave using the telescopic arm. The probe head was placed just a few inches below the cave roof. Through the probe's camera, Seth saw dim light sources in the background. With the light sensitivity adjustment, the cave details were visible. Seth fired the laser only for 2 seconds to ensure the position of their probe. He was happy with the result. He guessed the equipment close to the location where the laser beam fell were the radio and light signal sources. No moving objects were visible. The probe relayed the chemical constituents of air in the cave. Microphone picked various sounds. The camera turned slowly. Even before the camera made a 25-degree rotation, a bird flew to the camera and pecked it. The bird peeped into the lens, blinding the camera for a few seconds, and then flew away. First life form in Moon. Suddenly the probe picked voices. Seth saw something that shook him to his very core. 4 people just like us walked past. Team watched until they disappeared. 9 minutes had passed and Hai was getting ready to transmit the wake-up call. Suddenly the camera captured 2 people walking slowly towards the signal spot. You know that those 2 were none other than Duda and Lula. Duda and Lula were talking to each other and got the Babylonian beam equipment ready. The team was jubilant when they restored the normal status quo and continued responding as before. It was clear that Duda was talking to Lula from the time they were there. Because their voice levels picked by the probe were very faint, only parts of their conversations were audible to the Earth station. Their language sounded different. After the session ended, the camera followed Duda and Lola until the view was obstructed by a wide vertical rock structure. The team knew that they would be seeing them back in 24 hours at the next session. As decided by Seth, the team would avoid as to divulge their presence to the Moon people until they had obtained more information of the habitat and the details of the radio wave. The following day, a few minutes into the session, Seth stopped the laser beam. For first time, Seth fired a laser beam from the probe. Duda and Lula turned quickly to that direction. Both approached the probe to have a closer look. Seth then started the usual signals with the probe's laser. NASA heard Duda and Lula talking. Seth sent a hello signal from the probe. Duda and Lula directed their blue beam towards the probe. Seth's plan of getting Duda's attention on the probe worked. Probe became Seth's new communication ambassador. At the end of session, Probe fired several blinker signals to get Duda's attention. Then, using the probe's retractable telescopic rod, a poster was lowered into the cave. Duda cautiously approached the rod and took the poster. Duda unrolled it partially, marveling at the rod retracting back. They made a beeline run to their research station, impatient to see the poster. The double-sided poster featured a picture of a naked man and woman from the Voyager 1 gold-plated plaque, symbolizing greeting. Pictures of the solar system, including a small moon revolving around Earth with an arrow pointing to them, indicated their origin. A cross-sectional view showed the laser beam from the satellite and the blue wave from the moon's signal spot. The other side pictured Master and Collie on the moon's surface. A cross-section showed the drill hole, probe, and Master. At the bottom were many small pictures of people, animals, birds, fish, insects, trees, waterways, landscapes, and dwellings. Within minutes, Duda and Lula understood the story. They recognized the picture of Sun and the Earth that they believed as heaven, but not the pictures of the solar system. Duda briefed the content in the poster and the events to 5 highly respected elders upon their visit to see the probe. Area was illuminated with a Babylonian crystal. Elders were unable to understand the connection of the laser and the picture Earth they believed as heaven. Elders asked Duda to keep them updated. While Seth and his team watched all actions from their control room, they wondered why the thermal imaging equipment did not detect heat from the bright blue light. As everything seems normal, Seth decided to proceed with his plan. Seth lowered the telescopic rod, which had a rolled-up item. It slowly expanded to a monitor screen showing the same picture in the poster. The screen streamed the live video capturing through the probe. The Moon people realized they could hear and see themselves on the screen. Seth's primary goal was to interact with Duda and Lula through the audio and video interfaces. The next day, Seth set the screen into 2 parts. Live stream from the probe on one side, still pictures of Seth on the other. A minute later, Seth and Max appeared live. Seth and Max said hello to the moon crowd. From observing moon people from Probe, the team knew they bowed to each other and touched each other's shoulder as a courtesy. Seth and Max bowed and then touched each other's shoulders. Then they bowed over and extended their right hands towards the camera to indicate that they wanted to do the same with the moon people. Seth noticed the elders gathered immediately, discussing among themselves. They were questioning Duda and Lula too. At the conclusion of the lengthy discussion, all elders, Duda and Lula, moved closer to the camera, then bent slightly and raised their right hands towards the probe. Seth and Max reciprocated by bowing immediately. Seth thought this was the peace pipe moment that they were waiting for. Seth and Max shook hands and the moon people joined in, doubling the laughter and fun. Earthlings introduced handshaking to the moon people. This was Seth's small step, following Neil Armstrong's legacy. Seth appeared again on the screen. He pointed at himself with his forefinger and said, "Seth." Duda quickly pointed to himself and said, "Duda." Seth smiled. By repeating this with others, they quickly learned names of each other. This 13-hour special day was full of fun. Linguistic experts compiled a list of over 200 words of moon language. They realized understanding the moon people's language would be easier than vice versa. The next day, everyone was cheerful with live streaming. Learned from the linguistic experts, Seth even spoke a few words to Duda in moon people's language. Communication between the two parties progressed well. Video clips from documentaries like The Planet Earth illustrated Earth's diverse flora and fauna, helping Dude and Lola understand various aspects of people of Seth's world. Duda explained his research that led to the dust-removing exercise. This helped Seth to understand the source of the first radio signal. Seth agreed to help Duda to remove the dust using Collie and provide technical help to improve his equipment. The next day, he showed Dude the micro-video camera and taught him what it can do and how to use it. Then, Seth delivered Duda the camcorder he had in master using the telescopic rod. As soon as Duda pressed the record button, what he captured appeared on the screen. After Duda played with it, Seth asked him to operate it when he goes back to his research station to show his work. Duda took the video camera to his research complex while talking to Seth. Seth asked Duda to show him around. Duda explained his research work, then captured the surroundings. Duda and Lula have been extensively exposed to coverage of how people on Seth's world lived, including how they watched television from their homes and received videos from the moon. The NASA team realized Duda and Lula's brilliance as scientists from video clips collected. Their advanced written language, math knowledge, and quick learning capabilities were impressive. Over time, their friendship grew. Seth often recorded videos on camcorder for Duda to watch at leisure. Most had moon language dubbing. The camcorder served as an educational tool. Duda, fulfilling Seth's request, recorded a video of their 14th day celebrations which was streamed on TV station on Earth. On public request, Seth jokingly asked Duda whether he can share the secret recipe of the cocktail. The moon people's unity, harmony and self-governance surprised the NASA team that resembled John Lennon's song Imagine, with no countries, wars, religions or heaven, though the exception was that they believed in a heaven. Though Seth and Max were cautious about sharing sensitive and potentially offensive information with their moon friends, there have been instances of breaching this effort. As Duda learned more about human societies and history, he was concerned. As time passed, Seth showed the videos of Apollo moon missions to Duda and Lula. Seth thought this might serve as a hint of a possible visit to meet them. Duda and Lula were overwhelmed to learn that the people from Seth's world had visited the moon in the past. Seth jokingly asked Duda if he'd like to meet him personally. Duda said, "Yes, of course, we'd like to see you." Seth said, "It could happen soon." The video convinced Duda that Seth's visit was possible, but Duda wondered how Seth would enter caves from the moon's surface. Duda was excited, but he wondered why Seth called their heaven his world. Duda had seen heaven during his youth. It is a place of pleasure. His mind raced. I'm certain my soul will go to heaven with a youthful body to enjoy all the pleasures, but Seth's world is opposite. It can't be. Lula and Duda, both brilliant scientists, were haunted by psychological disturbances shattered by the video. Now suffering from severe stress, they worried about their only spiritual comfort. The beautiful object, once admired and gazed at as heaven, became a mere myth in space. Duda could not reconcile himself to the new upside-down situation or find a source of comfort in the psychological disaster. At the next video meeting, Seth and Max noticed that Duda and Lula were worried. Seth didn't get any clues from Duda when he asked about it. Duda requested Seth to play the Apollo mission video clips. Seth agreed without hesitation. Duda and Lula watched them intently. Duda asked Seth if his world was the beautiful world in the picture. Seth said yes. Duda asked Seth to download the Apollo mission videos to the portable camcorder. Seth asked why. Duda explained he had to explain something to the elders in the video, which he'd tell Seth after seeing them. Duda and Lula met the elders who noticed Duda's distress. Duda informed the elders of Seth's moon visit, who were delighted and asked about the journey. They asked Duda whether Seth's visit bothers him. Duda said no. Then Duda showed the Apollo mission, which excited the elders. They recognized the pictures of Earth, which they believed was heaven. Duda explained that it was Seth's world and everything they saw so far was from there. The elders vehemently disagreed. The elders declared, though Seth is technologically advanced, he can't be from heaven. There are no children or deaths in heaven, like in Seth's world. Seth's world should be different, and not the heaven we believe in. Lula and Duda convinced the elders by repeatedly playing the moon mission video clips. The elders finally accepted Duda's verdict. A revered idea that had existed for thousands of years shattered in seconds, stunned everyone motionless and speechless. The oldest elder broke the silence. This is bad news. We've lived in harmony for millennia with traditions and peace. We didn't know other worlds with people like us, but we encountered advanced beings from another world who shared their life patterns with us. Some were fascinating, others were disturbing. Now we must decide our path forward. I was shocked to realize our heaven was not what we believed. If we reveal this to our community, our social system and culture will collapse very soon. It is our duty not to divulge this. We appreciate the enormous work done by Duda and Lula for our people. I know it's hard for all of us, especially you two, to agree on this, but we should immediately terminate all connections with Seth's people and go back to normal life routines. I know you'll all do it for our people. Please keep this matter strictly confidential. Everyone stared at Duda and Lula. Duda couldn't speak, but he nodded to agree. Gathering courage, Duda asked for permission to speak to Seth one last time. Elders agreed. Duda handed the camcorder to Lula, and they headed back to the research station. The atmosphere was too emotional for conversation. Lula separated from Duda and headed towards the probe location. Lula placed the camcorder in its designated slot. The NASA team wanted to speak to him, but Lula hurried away. Seth was informed of Lula's reaction. Duda and Lula reached the signal spot the next day at the usual time to talk to Seth's team for the last time. Lula ensured only 2 of them were there. From Duda's first hello, Seth, Max and the NASA team realized something terrible had happened. Dear Seth, a few years ago when we received your laser beam, we didn't know what it was. We were fascinated by its glow, initially fearing it might burn us. I blindly responded to your signal by turning blue light beam on. I didn't realize that would lead to an intergalactic friendship. It's an unforgettable experience, and the warmest friendship I've ever had in my life. I can't forget it, no matter how hard I try. I know you feel the same. We were surprised and thrilled to learn of extraterrestrial life. I always thought people had to live in caves until we saw pictures from your world. We were amazed by your advanced technology. Your team quickly learned our language and spoke fluently, making us comfortable communicating with you and others freely. It gave us the feeling of being lifelong friends. You taught us a lot. We are deeply grateful for all we learned from you and forever indebted to you. You gave us an unimaginable glimpse into your world. Every moment we spent with you was incredibly happy and exciting. We cherished those moments and even recalled them in my dreams. Sometimes I felt like I was living in your world. When you said you will visit us, I was thrilled and was looking forward to it. You might wonder what I am trying to say. I will try to explain it briefly. Though we'd been conversing for some time, we really didn't know the identity of your world. I may have misunderstood when I saw some of your world's pictures from outer space earlier. When we saw the video clips of your people landing on our world, we realized you were from the beautiful, gem-like world in space we see from many cities. The people in Moon call your world the pleasure place, the heaven we believe. That's we end up after death. When I realized my future dream world wasn't what I imagined, I felt tormented and took a long time to console myself. I had to break this news to our elders. When I told them about your visit, they were delighted. After showing your moon mission video to the group, they were thrilled to realize it would soon become a reality. When I explained that you all live in the world we believe as heaven, the elders were mentally agitated like me. You might not be able to understand what we feel, and I will not be able to explain the agony in words either. We simply cannot divulge this to our community, disturbing our belief. It will tremendously impact our sustained social life. Our people will lose hopes in no time. Look at me. I have instructions to talk to you for the very last time, and to end our relationship at the end of this speech. As you know, I am the one who made contact with your world. I have a duty to protect, care for, and promote harmony among our fellow citizens. I need to respect our elders and carry out their instructions. Our society works this way. With utmost reluctance, I have to make some requests of you. Please don't visit us. Make sure nobody from your world contact us again or send investigative devices. Please never send the laser beam again. When I leave, I beg you to remove all your implements and equipment from our world. I will never forget you and the others. Our friendship is vast, like the vast space between the two worlds. I understand why it's so hard for me to say goodbye for the last time. For me, this is worse than death. The footprints you have left in our hearts will be there forever. I wish you happy adventures, new friendships, and peace for your world. I trust you'll honor my request. Thank you. Lula enjoined Duda, who was walking away. Duda's intense talk overwhelmed Seth, making it hard for him to think clearly. Duda's speech kept replaying in his mind. Seth recalled being warned by sociologists not to discuss beliefs with the Moon people. Seth contacted counseling bodies to inquire about a way to reconcile with his Moon friends. NASA couldn't imagine the global impact of this news. Seth realized he must decide whether to stop or give more time. Lula visited Duda the next day at their usual time. Noticing his feebleness, Lula greeted him, but he remained silent and stared at a wall. Duda gestured for Lula to pull out the poster he got from Seth, their only souvenir. They both looked at it, then Duda threw it into the fireplace. No words were spoken. Seth and Max were disappointed for 3 days without their Moon friends. Surprisingly, on the 4th day, Lula approached the probe. He was looking sad. Lula, we're glad to see you. Are you okay? I have very sad news. Duda passed away this morning. Seth, I didn't expect these things to be here. He trusted you deeply. Please give us peace by removing all these things. Lula went away after Seth possessed and transformed into a different person. He took control of the command center and moon equipment. First, he directed Collie to a steep moon crater a mile away. He set the speed to maximum and made it move. No one interfered or questioned Seth's actions. Then he folded back the screen and retracted the telescopic rod back to Master. As Seth carefully selected the coordinates of another crater, Max and the other staff realized that Seth was trying to eject Master and crash it into the crater. When Seth noticed their disapproving facial expressions, he gave them a single look that froze them. Nobody had the temerity to override Seth's action. The radar screen of the panel reserved for Collie's controls indicated it was heading beyond the controllable distance. Though there were many warning signs to stop its movement, Seth's attention was somewhere else. The sudden stop of signals coming from Collie indicated that it would have tumbled down into the crater. As an expert space vehicle commander, Seth relayed commands to Master to rise from the ground. He then propelled Master to the crater he selected and crashed into the crater. Then he commanded all the satellites to fly out of their orbits and crash on the far side of the moon. Everyone knew the project was over, concerned about Seth's potential harm. Seth sobbed like a child and mumbled to Max that he was glad he fulfilled Duda's request. The atmosphere at the center was quite the opposite of what it was on the day that they spoke to Duda and Lula for the very first time. It did not take much time for the news to reach all corners of the world. People had mixed reactions to Seth's actions. Seth addressed the team. As human beings, we should respect each other more than anything. With increasing influence and interference, I can now visualize the detrimental impact we're having on the Moon People's society. It's bad. Duda's speech was an eye-opener to me, the importance of understanding the binding of belief systems' impact on human societies. We're technologically advanced, but our people are not second to them when it comes to beliefs. When I was young, I dreamt of communicating with an alien in my lifetime. I did exactly that. I'm both happy and sad about the can of worms I opened. I won't be in this line of work anymore, so please respect Duda and honor his request. I'm leaving this message to all my global friends in many countries to urge their governments to honor Duda's request. All conscious humans should do that. Thanks everyone for helping to achieve my dream. As Seth finished his farewell speech and announced his retirement, he received a small note from his friend Max. The note read, 15 minutes ago, a bulletin was issued about a detection of a rocket launch to the moon by a well-known country. Speculation is rampant that Babylonians might be the primary objectives of the mission. Seth banged his head on the desk. Yep.